Good morning, students. Welcome back to online studies. Today we are going to start the new section of Unit 5, Section B. I am watching Grandpa. It's an extract that was written in the newspaper Times of India on 4th of March 2011, and this extract highlights the use of internet, the use of computers, and reducing our dependency, reducing our use of paper, and reducing the wastage of paper. And there are certain ways by which we can reduce this use of papers, and why should we do that? Why should we reduce that use of paper? This chapter highlights this thing. So we need to save paper in order to save forest, in order to save our green belt. We need to use less energy. We need to stop the water and air pollution. And how can we do that? What are the ways by which we can do that? It's by recycling things, reusing things, and reducing our usage of all these things, like reducing the usage of paper. So how can we achieve that? We can opt for e-newspapers, we can opt for e-magazines, we can store our documents in electronic form, we can go paperless with bills, and paying our bills, we need to go digital. Just like in nowadays, you have so many options to pay and do the transactions through Google Pay, through Paytm, through mobile wallets you can use. So there are n number of ways nowadays when the technology is has so much advanced, and the people and the government is taking initiative to make everything digitalize. So we also take put in our contribution towards that. So by doing this, we can save lot of trees, because paper is made from trees. We can save lot of trees, and if the trees are saved, then the green belt will increase, the earth will, and the environment will be saved, the earth will be saved, the future generations will be saved. So let's start with the chapter. I am watching Grandpa. How has the arrival of computers and internet affected the use of paper? Has there been any significant decline in its use? Yes, there has been a significant decline in its use with the arrival of computers and internet. My sister and I were spending the weekend with our grandparents. This was the first time we were actually staying for more than a day. Our visits were usually shorter. Grandpa's house was located near the noisy, bustling, dusty S.P. Mukherjee Road, the other end of the city where we lived. Now here, in this extract, the narrator is telling that he and his sister, they have been spending the weekend with their grandparents. Earlier, their visits had been shorter. They never stayed for the night. More than a day, they never stayed there in their grandfather's house. But now, since they had holidays, or might be their parents had gone out of town, that's why they had to stay for longer. His grandfather's house was located in a very dusty, very crowded, noisy, busy street, that was S.P. Mukherjee Road, and they lived in a very quiet and very clean and very posh area, which was on the other side of the city. The narrator with his sister and the parents lived in a very posh area, which was very clean, very away from the main road, and it was very quiet sort of area, and it was located on the other side of the city. Grandpa and I shared the room, and as was customary, he said his prayers before bed and made me join in. I had an uneasy night with all the traffic sounds and lights from the main road. So, Grandpa and the narrator shared the room, and as the customary means as his routine, the habit, he said his prayers before going to bed, and he told the narrator to do the same, to join him in the prayers. He also made him do the prayer. I had an easy night. The narrator had an uneasy night because of the sound of the traffic coming from the main road and the light coming from the main road. He couldn't sleep properly. I managed to get some sleep, but was disturbed by movements in the room. I opened my eyes a bit. It was still dark outside. Grandpa was sitting up. I assumed he was going to the toilet. I shut my eyes again. Now, then he was able to manage some sleep, but because of there was some movement in the room, and due to that movement, he was not able to sleep properly. And when he opened his eyes a little bit, so then he saw that the grandpa was sitting on his bed. So the narrator thought it might be grandpa wanted to go to the toilet. So he shut his eyes again. A weird rustling sound continued. I opened my eyes again and saw Grandpa and wanted to tell him to go to sleep. But Grandpa had slipped into a faded t-shirt. Then he looked under the bed and located his slippers. Grabbing a large bag from the foot of the bed, he got up. What was he doing? Shopping in his sleep? Lifting his feet up high with each step, he crept forward stealthily to the door, all the while imagining I was fast asleep. Now the narrator saw and heard a weird means very odd rustling. Rustling means moving of leaves, dry leaves or paper. Sound like somebody was doing something, somebody was moving about in the room. So that sound kept on coming, and then he again opened his eyes and he wanted to tell the grandpa, okay grandpa, go back to sleep. But then he noticed that he had worn a faded t-shirt and he was about to wear his slippers, and he picked up the large bag from the foot of the bed and he started moving silently. Stealthily means slowly, silently, quietly he started moving and started going towards the door. And throughout this he kept on thinking, the grandpa was thinking, why was he doing all this? Why did he walk quietly to the door? Because he was thinking that he must not disturb his grandson who was sleeping, who was fast asleep. क्योंकि वो सोया हुआ था, so that's why he was thinking that he should not disturb his sleep. I looked at my watch. It showed the awkward time of 3:30 a.m. The sight of the 70-odd-year-old man sleepwalking like this seemed so strange. I could not control a giggle. Now, the narrator thought that his grandfather was sleepwalking. नींद में चल रहे हैं. And he was going for shopping in his sleep because the time by his watch was 3:30 a.m. So the idea of 70-year-old man going for shopping in his sleep was very weird, very strange. So he started laughing. Giggle means laugh. He turned around with surprising agility, his large owl-like eyes probing through the darkness to locate the source of the sound. Be quiet if you want to come with me, he said. Now, for a 70-year-old man, the way he turned, it was very quick, and it was surprising for the narrator that how quickly he turned. And with his large eyes, he started searching the room to locate the source of the laughter. And then he understood that his grandson was awake and told him that be quiet, you need to be quiet if you want to come with me. I never imagined an adventure with Grandpa. A few moments later, he led me through the main gate of the apartment and up the stairs, where he had rented out a floor to a computer institute. When we got to the third floor, he took out a bunch of keys. Now, the narrator had never imagined that at 3:30 a.m. in the morning he would be having an adventure with his grandfather. But grandfather took him outside the apartment and then he went upstairs to the third floor. Over there, he had some keys in his pocket and he opened the room. He opened that lock. The room, when it was not full of students, served as a cyber cafe, and that room was a cyber cafe. But it was not the main room that interested Grandpa. He took a right turn into the corner, another room, and when we entered, what looked like a shabby storehouse. Storehouse means the storeroom. Shabby means it was in a poor condition. He took 2 confident steps and turned on a light. Now, when he opened the room with that key, that room was a cyber cafe. But Grandpa was not interested in the main cyber cafe. He took a right turn and went to another room. And that room was very shabby, very poorly maintained, and it was in a very bad condition. Because it was a storehouse for that cyber cafe. And then Grandpa took 2 confident steps. Confident means as if he knew everything. He knew the place well, and he took 2 steps and switched on the light. His tenants trusted him with all their secure teaching material, and here we are, robbing them of God knows what. Now the narrator was surprised that the cyber cafe owner, the tenants, trusted his grandpa with their teaching material and everything, and what is he doing at this hour? That he is cheating them, he is stealing their things from the cyber cafe. So it was very shameful for the narrator. The grandpa whispered, "Lend me a hand, son. That please help me, son." I went closer. He was crouched on the floor. Crouch means bending on his knees on the floor. His shopping bag was open. A large stack of paper, stack means pile of paper, was strewn about towards one corner. Strewn means scattered untidily in one corner. So there was a pile of paper which was scattered all over in one corner. I helped him pile the paper into his bag. Then the narrator also helped the grandpa piling the paper in that shopping bag. After filing it, we hurried down. It was 4:45 a.m. by my watch, and it took them more than an hour to collect all that paper, to file all that paper. "Hey," he called out, "help me with these. Sort these papers out. One side used over here, both sides used here, and the blank papers here." The work was easy but time consuming. So the grandpa told the narrator to sort those papers which they had brought from the cyber cafe, the storeroom of the cyber cafe, into 3 categories: one-sided used, double-sided used, or double-sided blank, or completely blank, and single both side used. So that way, in 3 categories, the grandpa told to sort those papers. "What are you going to do with these, Grandpa?" I asked him, trying my best to sound non-inquisitive. Non-inquisitive means non-interested. He sounded as if he was not interested. He is asking generally, but he was very much interested. He was very much curious to know that what was his grandfather going to do with all that paper. "These computer people do not respect paper. Every day they throw away all these sheets. They have given me the keys to open the gate for the sweeper when he comes at 6 a.m. He takes these and gives them to the junk dealer, who disposes of them carelessly. So instead, I do half his job for him." So the grandfather explains that these computer people, the cyber cafe people, they don't respect paper and they waste paper a lot. And they have given grandpa keys so that he can open the gate for the sweeper at 6 o'clock and he can clean the whole room from before they open the cyber cafe for the day. So here, before the sweeper comes, grandpa goes to the cyber cafe and collects all the papers, and then he sort them in 3 different categories, and both sides used he gives to the sweeper, and then the sweeper gives it to the junk dealer, the kabadi wala, and he then disposes of the paper. So I was amazed by how much importance he was giving to such a seemingly trivial matter. So the narrator was surprised that his grandfather was giving so much importance to such a small thing. Trivial matlab small thing. Every day my friends and I would waste hundreds of sheets at the drop of the hat. Drop of the hat means in a blink of an eye. It's an idiom. So he started thinking that throughout the day I and my friends waste so many papers. Just like that, without thinking, without paying so much of attention. But my grandfather is paying such great importance. He's giving such great importance to wasting of papers. Pointing to the used up pile, which was the smallest, he said, "These I will go to the hawker downstairs. One-sided used papers I will use for my accounts and also give some to the poor children at the NGO in the neighborhood. They practice maths on them." So he explains that what he is going to do with all those papers. The used both side used paper, he will go to the hawker so that they can make bags out of them, and they can put things and give it to the customers. One-sided newspaper he will keep it for himself so that he can do his accounts work, and the empty papers he will give to the NGO children, poor children in the NGO, where they can practice their maths sums. I was shocked. I learned that the old man had been doing this for months now. This was a real, concrete and genuine effort to save paper and the planet. So the narrator was shocked. He learned that the old man had been doing this practice. He had been saving the paper for months now. And this was the real, concrete, means actual and a genuine effort to save paper and thus save the planet. I stared at the septuagenarian in awe. I stared at the septuagenarian in awe. No school education on environment had ever made an impression on me and my classmates or anyone, but this lone endeavor made me realize it all. For the first time, I truly understood. This septuagenarian means this old man, the efforts, the genuine efforts. At the age of 70, a person at the age of 70, or means wonder. I stared at my old grandpa, 70-year-old grandpa, in wonder, as no school education, no school lecture had ever put such an impact on him and his friends, which this lone means alone, endeavor means task, made me realize it all. This alone task, this first task effort made by my grandfather made me realize everything. For the first time, I truly understood. Now, he says that for the first time in life, he truly understands that why should we save planet, why should we save the environment, why should we save trees, what is the importance of trees in our lives. So no education, no classroom teaching, no lecture in the class, no lecture of the teacher had ever put such an impact on him, which this action of this effort of 70-year-old man had put on him. So that's all in this chapter. I hope it's a very easy one. I hope you have understood the chapter well. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.